I'd like to call the meeting to order of the Griggs County Commission, December 8th at 2:30. Stand for the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you all for being here. So the first order of business would be to elect a president and vice president. At this time, nominations would be open for that position. President first.
I nominate John for the chairmanship.
Chairmanship. There we go. You corrected me last time too. Chairmanship.
The reason is
I
that
keep wanting to take more command than I have to.
The reason is that you're the most senior member.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah,
following.
yeah.
So-
It's so we have a nomination on the table for the chairman. We'll need a second.
Already did.
Stephanie seconded it? Is that right? Okay. So we have Scott with the motion and Stephanie seconded. Any discussion? Any discussion on the subject? With no further discussion, we'll take a vote. Josh?
Yep.
Yes?
Yep. Scott, yes.
Yes.
Yes. Stephanie?
Aye.
And I vote aye reluctantly. Motion passed. Now we'll also need a vice chairman. Nominations will be open for that position.
I'll say Scott. Oh.
Steph, we have Scott nominated as vice chairman, if you didn't hear that, if you're off the...
Okay.
And Steph would second that. Any discussion on Scott being the vice chairman? Any further discussion? With lack of discussion, we'll vote. Josh?
Yes.
Josh votes aye.
Yes, I guess.
Okay.
Yes.
I vote aye. Rod? And Steph?
Aye.
Very good. Okay, now we can proceed to the order of business. So we have new members here. We should probably go forward with a little explanation how we conduct business. It's straightforward. If we don't do it correctly, it doesn't mean it voids anything we're doing. It's just the process is set up, Robert's Rules of Order, and it's set up to make sure that the public is informed and actually knows how we're conducting business. So the first rules of Robert's Rules of Order is to put anything we're going to conduct onto an agenda. That's done by the okay of the chairman, or it can be done at the previous meeting by a majority of the commissioners to put the subject matter onto agenda. Once it's on the agenda, then it becomes part of the meeting. And in order to proceed with an item on the agenda, it takes someone to step forward and say that they want to have that item on for discussion. That's the motion, the initial motion. Then it takes a second to that motion. All you're doing by making the motion and the second to the motion is opening the discussion up for that agenda item. You're not agreeing that with the agenda item, you're just opening it up for discussion. So theoretically, Rod, you could say, I make a motion that we proceed with agenda item 2. And Scott could second it. And once we have the discussion, you realize that, well, that probably shouldn't go forward. So you could actually put forward a motion for the agenda item and vote against it, or vice versa. At that point then, it goes to a vote. And what we've done to speed things up, and I think we'll change that, is we've had a voice vote on items that were financial, and we've had just an overall vote, all ayes, all nays, on other items. I think we should, to put it on everything on the record, I think we should have a voice vote on each item. That means something, not closing the meeting or opening the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually think the rules require like any spending
Yep.
spending
Has to
resolution. It should be a roll call vote.
Correct.
Yeah, and yeah, And then the other thing I think we should do is because the meetings, if you look at the minutes, they refer to the commissioners by their last names. I think we should also refer to the commissioners by the last names. So somebody listening to the meeting that's not familiar with the first names will understand who made the motion and who's speaking. So what you new members have to realize is that you're here to represent the people that put you into office. And if you don't understand how the system works, that should not deter you from being able to put forward your point. So there's you can't make a mistake in this procedure that will invalidate what you're trying to do. Anytime you have a question, ask the question. If you don't know how to put the motion forward or state your point, bring that up and we'll take care of that. Because again, the process shouldn't overrule the ultimate goal. And the ultimate goal, of course, is to serve the citizens that put you into office. So it's don't be shy about asking questions. There is no dumb question in this thing, and the process seems kind of convoluted sometimes, but it is done that way for a reason, but it does not dictate what we get done. So if there's a mistake made, we just go back and fix it. Okay? And if you're not comfortable with what's going on and don't understand what's going on, just say, hey, I don't understand it. Please explain it to me. So, does our auditor have anything to add to that as far as conducting the business? So, Samantha's here. She takes care of all the minutes. She will correct us if we get procedure things wrong. She basically is the receptacle for everything we do. She puts it, first of all, she puts it into a form for us to look at. Secondly, after we're done, she puts it all into a form to let the public know what was done and to also conduct the business that we authorized.
John, do you want to talk open meetings at all?
Yep, that was the next thing. So the whole Robert's Rules of Order and the way we do business here, the premise of it is so that the people that we represent know exactly what business we're doing, when we're going to do it, and how we're going to conduct it. And they need to be assured that we're not doing anything behind their back. Thusly, you can't talk to, like say we're sitting here before the meeting starts, and there's 3 of us sitting in here. We cannot talk about any county business because now we're conducting a meeting before the actual time of the meeting. You can talk to Scott outside the meeting, during the meeting, but you can't take that same train of thought that you talk to Scott and then go try to talk to Rod about it. And we want to make sure that everything we've done, the public has the right to know when it was going to happen, how it happened, and the result of what happened. That brings me to another point with the public meetings. We encourage the public to come to these meetings, but this is not an open forum for public comment. This is for the public to come and watch the proceedings and gain knowledge from what's happening. If you allow it become a public forum, even if you fill this place up with 30 members, 30 citizens, that still is not, and they influence the outcome of the meeting, that is still not the 2,200 citizens that we represent. So we've had it happen. It won't happen as long as I'm chairman. If the public wants to be on the agenda, they have the right to be on the agenda. We encourage them to be on the agenda. But there will not be any flash mobs like we had in the past. That is detrimental to the public's interest because the people that show up at those, the rest of the population doesn't know what's going to happen, and now they are put at a disadvantage. So the public is encouraged to participate, but again, it's not an open forum. And we'll leave it at that. It didn't turn out well here and we're gonna fix one of those mistakes here today. Samantha, you have nothing?
Nope.
Jamie?
Touch a little bit more on open meetings.
Yep.
I'm gonna go a little bit further on
Yep.
your discussion. Phone discussions and email discussions are not permissible. Like John said, we want to be as transparent as possible with the public. That's the job. We're supposed to be stewards of the county for the citizens, and they put you guys in that position and me in that position as well. Just a couple examples of open meeting violations would be if Scott and Stephanie and John all talked on the phone. Say Scott and John entered into a phone conversation and started talking about some issues that were coming up on the meeting and said, "This is my position." Scott said, "This is my position." John says, "This is my position." They hang up the phone call. John called Stephanie and said, "Hey, here's my position. This is Scott's position. What do you think about it?" That's now a meeting. Even if they weren't on the phone at the same time, it's still a meeting because there was still discussion between the three parties on it. So be very careful of how you conduct yourselves with phone calls or emails. We don't want to be in a situation where we are scolded in front of everybody by the Attorney General's office, but we also want to make sure that we're as transparent as possible for the public, because that's what we're here for. I'm having Annie print out the open meetings manual for you guys. There are times where we can close a meeting for executive session. That's under some statutory language that's permitted. During that time, we can discuss things in the meeting, but any action has to be done in the public. That doesn't happen very often. Maybe in 10 years, it's probably happened half dozen times, but it does happen. So we'll get you guys the manual. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask, because we want to make sure that we're as transparent as possible for the public.
Thank you, Jamie. Scott, anything to add?
Well, the only thing I'd add is the people that talk, if you can talk if you get on the agenda.
Correct.
A public person comes up to you like Paul or whatever, and it gets approved to be on the agenda, then they can talk.
Right.
Yeah.
But material presented
Correct.
at that point has to be presented so that we have time to
Yes.
condense it into a form where we can look at it prior to, yeah. And we don't discourage that, but we do discourage this flash mob mentality that happened here a couple times, and that goes against the whole open meeting format, because it leaves a bunch of people, citizens that didn't realize that was going to happen, standing out here not represented. And so we can't let that happen again, and we won't.
And an open meeting is just exactly that. It's an open meeting for the public. It's open for people to attend and to spectate. It's not an open forum.
Correct.
That's
Yep.
it. So that's.
And then they
that's for you to
can,
explain.
yeah, they can certainly, if they're here to provide us with information, we can ask them questions, they can offer, that's fine. But any farther than that then there has to be a meeting set up and to give everybody a chance to talk rather than just a few.
And there has to be decorum in this room during a meeting. The commission actually has the ability to find someone in contempt and find them and send them over here.
Yeah. I don't foresee that ever happening.
It's, same rules kind of apply for the school board, same thing, It's the same way they operate,
You can have a one-on-one discussion, but you can't call somebody up and say, well, somebody thinks this, what is your opinion type of deal, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
And you're discouraged from doing that outside of this room, but certainly encouraged doing that inside room, because the whole point of it is to discuss. The point of these meetings is not only to put forward your one vote, but try to, if you have information, try to influence someone else towards your point of view. That's the purpose of this. Because no one person here can make a decision. It has to be a group decision. In order to make a group decision, you have to be able to have all the facts. And So, Stephanie, do you have anything to add to that?
Nope, I'm good. You guys covered it well.
Thank you. Okay. So, we're done with the pledge. We'll have a look at the agenda, and we'll need an approval of the agenda after you've had time to look at it. That will just be from a motion, of course, from whoever wants to offer that up. You do have the ability to add things to the agenda, limited things. Nothing that would, we try to discourage that though. Because of course then the public hasn't had a right to look at that agenda item.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
We have a motion by Tranby to approve the agenda. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Zorn and Edlund. Do we have any discussion on this? Any discussion? I assume we have no discussion. Agenda approved. So now we should take a look at the November 17th meeting minutes. If you got, you could look those over. What we look for is grammar, of course, facts that aren't factual. Try to make sure that what is written here on the record is what actually took place. And I know you two weren't at the meeting, so you can't correct that, but anything else that you see out of order, bring it to our attention. So, Samantha?
Yes.
Motion by Tranby to abate the taxes on property
No.
23. Question.
Yeah.
See that?
All right, I gotta get that,
We'll fix that with the actual
yeah.
property designation.
Yes. I was looking for all those question marks. I thought that
Yeah.
they were in there, but
And sell the property for $1. I think it should be on transfer the property to Binford
okay.
for $1. But they don't even pay the dollar, do they, Jamie?
Yeah,
Mhm.
They do? Okay. Okay.
I think in the past, I think the chairman of the commission's paid $1.
What's that?
I said, I think in the past, the chairman of the commission has paid $1.
Yeah. All right. I'll talk to the mayor.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda, and then you fix that
Meeting minutes.
meeting minutes.
Yep.
Yeah, so, make the motion to do that.
We have a motion by Tranby to approve the agenda as presented with the change to the identifying the property that was sold. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Edlund. Do we have any discussion on the minutes? Any discussion? Barring no discussion, motion is passed.
Don't we have the vote though, John, or not? All ayes and nays, like always, or not?
Yeah.
Do we? Okay.
Yeah.
Excuse me. See, there's how you make a mistake and you back up.
Sorry.
Avriel,
Yes.
Tranby,
Yes.
Zorn,
Yes.
Edlund,
Yes. But we don't need to do it individually for the minutes, just for money, correct?
and
Not the
Wakefield
minutes in
votes
it.
yes. Right.
Money object, yeah, like we do the
Money or policy?
policy, okay, I'll just say
Yeah,
ayes and
is what it
nays.
actually
Okay.
means. Okay,
We'll go quicker.
we'll go quicker. So now we'll have a look at the bills. Maybe Samantha could explain a little bit of how they're presented and
Absolutely. So you guys meet 2 times a month, so you'll get this set of bills every 2 months, or 2 times a month. And what it is it'll tell you who we're paying, which if you look at page 4, it's Allard Trophy Company. So we're paying them. It's coming out of 2 accounts, so it'll come out of general treasurer's supplies and it'll come out of general new courthouse. And those, then the amounts are over, how much we're paying out of each one of those line items are over in that amounts line. So it'll be $11.16 out of treasurer's and $22.34 out of new courthouse, to equal up to the $33.50. The number that you see way on the right is the balance, and that is what that line item is going to be if you pay this bill. So if it goes negative, that is reflective as if you did pay this bill. Now that is a little misleading because if you have one treasure supply over here and one treasure supply over here, it doesn't accumulate those together. So it's not going to tell you that the balance in that fund is going to be this if you pay both of these bills. It's as if you just paid that one. So then you would have to go and add up those together. If you go to page 8, these are your townships. Those are just tax dollars that we've gotten in, and they're going to go out. That's what they're for. So all of those balances are going to be negative because there's not a budget number in there. So it's just tax money in, tax money out. And that's
Just to clarify that, so we are the conduit for all tax money in the county, so that those are levied individually by the townships, by whatever entity has taxing authority. We just collect it. We have no authority over how much was collected. We have no authority over how it was spent. We're just a conduit for it. So because of that, it's not a budgetary item on our books. So when we send it out, that negative balance just reflects how much we've sent them. And that will grow until that's the end of the year. So that reflects how much we have sent them. And there's how many taxing authorities in Griggs County?
quite a few.
Yeah.
I don't know an exact amount, but yeah. So then page 10 is the remainder of your townships. 11 is your schools. And then 12 is the other taxing entities. And then number 13 is your payroll. So you guys, we don't wait to get the approval from you. We show you what was paid for payroll the time before your meeting. I did want to let you guys know of some changes that were made just right before the meeting. I was able to go through these bills just to make sure everything was looking okay, and there is a few discrepancies that I did find. I did take out your North Dakota County Commissioners Association dues that did get put in again for this month, and that'll come back in January for you guys to approve or disapprove. Any dues that we get right now, we always hold those until the new year for the New Year's budget. The election systems and software, that is coming out of county agent expense, and it should not be. It should come out of election printing, so I do have that corrected to reflect that line item change. And then there is personal concepts for $5.95. We got into a bad situation with these people a while back, and I told they kind of were trying to scam me out of a lot of money, so I told them never to contact us again. And then we got this $5.95 bill. I say you don't pay it, so I did take it out myself, but you guys can do what you want. That's for the posters up on the wall, and you can actually get those free on the state's website, so we don't need to pay for them.
So when we're going through the bills here, you have the right, and I would encourage you to if you have a bill that you don't understand what was paid and why it was paid, not so much the amount, but what it constitutes, feel free to ask that, and we'll give you.
And I do have
we'll give
the-
you an invoice on it. We'll show you what the bill was about.
Yep, if you guys have any questions. We do discourage add-on bills, but we do have some new people in the courthouse, so we do have some transitions. So we do have a few that we would like to need added on if we could. One is for John Deere Financial for $203.63. And another one for JP Morgan for $1,363.01.
Okay, and I assume the John Deere one is for parts.
Mm-hmm.
And the JP Morgan is for the,
Sheriff's, that's their credit card bill.
okay. Okay. Does anybody want to see this? Any questions on the bills as presented?
So one's just, they're both bills, just one for maintenance, or both of them for maintenance, or what?
No, this is, here, you can see them. What happened was they didn't get here in time to get put onto the agenda,
Oh,
so,
This one goes with all of that, and then this one goes with these. So you can just look them over to see what they were all for if you'd like. Yeah.
this is what? New Financial, that's JP Morgan?
Mhm.
Okay. So at this time, I would need a motion to approve the bills as presented with the addition of a voucher for JP Morgan for the Sheriff's Department and John Deere Financial, I assume the road department.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Tranby, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Averill. Do we have any discussion on this?
The only thing is, like Sam was talking about, trying to get those bills on time, those last, what happened before in the past, and Johnny can back me up, is that people come with like 5-6 bills and dump at the meeting at that same day.
Okay.
They village with that. You follow what I'm saying, right, John? And that's been a kind of a problem, so that's why discourage them from doing that,
Mhm.
so. Then we don't have time to look at them really close, until we have to vote on them, so.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that, It's pretty good most of the time, so. Anyway.
The only time it should happen is if it was actual emergency. It shouldn't be a ongoing thing where I gotta get my bills in right before the meeting. There should be time to do it prior to that. We have a motion on the table. Do we have a second to that? Second by Zorn.
I think it was already seconded by April.
Yeah, I thought I
Oh.
saw
Josh did.
Josh did already?
Yeah.
Oh, I never heard that. Can't hear good. So this would fit the, we'll have to take a voice vote on this. We'll vote for the approval of the bills. Averill,
Yes.
Tranby,
Yes.
Zorn,
Yes.
Edlund,
Aye.
thank you. And Wakefield votes yes. Motion approved. So, looks like we've got the monthly office reports to look through. And the county agent's quarterly report. If you want to look through them, if you have any questions of the county agent on his report, feel free to ask him.
I have it with me, I didn't actually get it in advance, but I do have it with me. To share with you, and I'd like to speak about it.
Okay,
Right, John, let him, he gets, yep.
Yeah, okay. Good afternoon. This Commissioner Zorn, there's my card, and here's my quarterly report and some other information I'd like to share.
Thank you.
Commissioner Tramby, Commissioner Averill, here's my card if you ever need anything. And Chairman Whitefield, here it is. My report. So I want to thank the commission for your support of extension at the county level. For Commissioner Zorn and Commissioner Averill, I welcome you to make an appointment with me at any point in time, and I can explain to you in more detail what extension's role is in the county and how the county funds extension. I'd be glad to do that at any point in time. So I'll just go ahead and read through my report. I usually break this down here into 4-H and agriculture and natural resources because those are my two major roles here in the county, but because I'm the only agent in the county, I have to do everything that the citizens ask of me from an extension standpoint. You can see to the left-hand side in the middle, I usually have some quarterly statistics there. So the number of meetings or events that I either attended to learn for myself or to speak at others was 32 for this quarterly period of July through September. The attendance that I spoke at was 245. Phone calls, emails, texts, and office visits was 105 during those 3 months, and my home and farm visits were 14. And for 4-H, July is always a busy month for me because that's when the fair occurs. So static projects were judged on July the 6th. 119 static projects were exhibited this year during the Griggs County Fair. 90 large animal projects and 28 small animal projects were shown at the Griggs County Fair this year. The 2022 premium sale during the Griggs County Fair went extremely well. 30 4-H members took 4-H projects to the sale ring, with 69 buyers giving $31,950 to support our 4-H members in this county. Griggs County 4-H members entered 50 static projects at the 2022 North Dakota State Fair. So once they've been here, they receive a blue ribbon. They're welcome to take their projects to the state fair, both what we call static, which is posters and sewing and those type of things, versus livestock. And you can see here that 7 members received a grand or reserve or an award of excellence with their projects at the fair. So 72% of the static projects that went there and received a blue ribbon. So that's a pretty good percentage. 9 Griggs County 4-H members showed livestock at the North Dakota State Fair this year. Landon Hoertz was our biggest winner. He received overall reserve champion spring bull calf. And Trey Calbert did very well, receiving 3rd overall market doe and 6th place overall market goat. Griggs County performed well again at the North Dakota State Communications Arts Contest. The state contest is held during the fair or just before the fair. Maddie Abraham placed 1st in the state in the junior division for demonstrations. This was her first time competing at the state level. Rosie Abraham, her sister, placed 2nd in the state in the senior division for prepared speaking. This was her 2nd time competing at the state level. I helped run the first ever 4-H trades camp at the North Dakota State 4-H camp in Washburn, North Dakota. 14 children participated in that camp from across the state. Griggs County participated in the state range judging contest. This is a contest where 4-H members have to learn 117 different plant species in range environment. And then they also have to look at 3 sites that have been determined by the individual that set the contest up and evaluate them, look at all the plants that are in there, identify the quality of that area for both a sharp-tailed grouse and cattle. And then there's a team event. So it's a very complicated contest. It's probably one of the most thorough and difficult contests that 4-H has to offer. You can see that Oliver Fuel, Riley Amon, Maddie Abraham, Bristol Schmidt, and Bailey Schmidt, both of those 2 girls were their first time participating. They participated in the junior division. This team placed 2nd in the state. This is the 2nd time in a row that we've had a 2nd place finish for our junior team. Oliver Fuel placed 2nd individually in the whole state for 4-H members. And Bailey Schmidt placed 7th for her very first time in the contest, and Maddie Abraham placed 8th individually. Rosie Abraham and Amelia Abraham and one other lady, you're allowed to, if you don't have a full team, which is 3 people, you're allowed to take a team member from another county. And so we did that to have a senior team because Rosie and Amelia were in the senior division. That team placed 3rd in the state, and Rosie Abraham was 1st in the state for 4-H in the senior division for that range contest. So very well done. Her and her sister Amelia have been going to the range camp out west, and obviously it's paying off dividends for themselves and for this county. And Amelia placed 7th individually. From an agriculture, and natural resources standpoint, I collected leafy spurge beetles near St. Anthony, North Dakota, which is south of Mandan, on July 12th, 2022. And then on the next day, July 13th, we had over 10 Griggs County people help me collect leafy spurge beetles up at the Butte, north of town. Between those 2 days, over 20 ranchers in this county received leafy spurge beetles to help control leafy spurge in their pastures. I spoke about weed identification to extension agents and specialists at the Langdon Research and Extension Center on August 15th, 2022, with 12 individuals present. I spoke to 37 children at the Soil and Water Conservation Eco-Ed Days camp that they have at the Cooperstown Bible Camp about range plants and range characteristics. I spoke about Griggs County agriculture history, agronomics, and weed identification to 6 extension agents and 1 extension specialist on September 16th when I had them here to visit our county. And then I'd like to make sure that you look at the second page. This is research data generated in North Dakota and several other states across the country. The impact that 4-H makes to our communities. 4-H youth are 2 times more likely to participate in science. 4-H youth are 2 times more likely to make healthier choices. 4-H youth are 2 times more likely to be civically active. And 4-H youth are 4 times more likely to make contributions to their communities. So 4-H has a huge impact on our communities, both locally and at the state level. So I would hope that you can continue to support extension from a county budget standpoint so that we can offer services to the clientele in this county from an agriculture standpoint in 4-H membership. Do you have any questions or comments?
It's good to see that we got young kids doing really good. So.
Yes, we do. Any other questions or comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Any other questions on the office reports? Is Tom still here?
What?
Well, it doesn't matter.
Tom took off.
He did, okay. Nothing.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the monthly office reports.
Motion by Tranby to approve the monthly office reports. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Zorn to approve the monthly office reports. Do we have any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? At this time, we'll take a vote. All ayes?
Aye.
Aye.
Nays? Motion approved. Road Superintendent / 9/11.
I cannot
Did that-
speak like Mr. Stackler. Whole big script. But, Paul is gonna talk, Paul from KLJ is gonna talk a little bit about the prairie dog funding. He gave you a handout, which I have here also. But it looks like prairie dog funding is, increasing faster than what was thought of earlier in the year, because we're all paying more. But that's gonna help, every money coming, I think, after the first of the year probably. So, other things we've been working on is we had this chip seal done this last year, and we ran into some problems with some testing and different things. I did get an email from Tim Aarons, Ackerman Asphalt, and he wrote up a plan to try to get it approved, which he's forwarded to the state people that were in the meeting that I had, and with the contractor. And I'll give you each a copy. This is just his first suggestion of what might possibly be done to get that project finished. Because we haven't signed the final contract yet.
So does this include the estimate overrun plus the
there's-
failure of the materials or not?
Nothing in the emails about that part of the problem.
So this is just the failure of the materials not meeting spec?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
We did ask him to present another bill,
yeah,
and this is all I've received so far. And it explains the CRS-2P emulsified asphalt failed demulsibility. Testing requirements is required for standard whatever, and then he's suggesting that he would go and mark off 1,000-foot sections in each of the roads, 2, 26, and 8. And then, I don't know how he would compare that to another section that's in the same road, but something to try to move it along and to close that project out, because there's still it's unsettled.
so just some background on this. We had a chip seal done. The product that was put down didn't meet the specifications. And the people that supplied the product, as always, contend that it wasn't really their fault, and the fact that the product didn't meet the specifications doesn't make any difference anyway. And they're willing to offer a warranty, and this is their attempt at trying to offer the warranty, except as Wayne points out, there is nothing in there that will tell you whether or not the product failed or did not. So a warranty does no good if you can't determine whether or not the product failed. You can't determine whether it failed because they don't give you a life of it. So how long is it supposed to last?
Right.
My recommendation is to get this out of the way and be done with it, because having gone through it numerous times, we will be on the right side of it, we'll argue about it, and eventually they'll just say, well, that's the way it is, pay up. Is that pretty much a close summation, Wayne, of what's
Yeah.
gonna happen?
Right.
What road and what did happen and how do we know?
It was on the Hannaford Road, on County Road 8 that goes from number 1 west through Binford out to the county line. And then from Highway 32 going west on County Road 2, it's just a couple miles south of Annetta. And it goes west towards Red Willow to the river. You've probably worked on it. Rod worked for me at one time.
Mhm.
So, so anyway, and then into Red Willow, like through Red Willow. That's the 3 different roads, County Road 2, 26, and 8.
And the reason we know it failed is because the samples they took didn't meet the spec when they analyzed them.
Yep. And they wanted to test more of the bottles that they took, because they've already failed, some had already failed, and then the longer you keep them, the more chance it's gonna fail again, so then they wanted extra money to do that, so.
And is it 10,000, correct?
So that's,
So they have a product that failed, but they want us to pay another
Well, see,
10,000.
yeah, when they filled the
Yep.
tanker at the factory, it tested good. And then they haul it out to the site, and then they load it into a spray truck. And then they take the samples out of the
We take this, normally take it out. of the
distributor
tank.
or out of the tanker.
Normally take it out of the tank.
Take it out of the
I don't know
tanker.
what was done on this project, but.
So somehow in all that process, it changed.
And that was what, they loaded what, in Morris itself, or what did they build?
I don't know if Morse Seal Coat hauled it out.
So, that's what I mean, like, I didn't know if there was a site where they loaded everything and shipped it out right away, or it was only like a 10-minute process, or if it sat in there for a couple of days where it could've went bad doing that.
Well, they went to Minnesota is where they got the oil, they brought it up here, and then they do the product, or they do the project right away. And of course, there was many different semis that came up,
Mhm.
so,
So the way it always works is there's a problem, they don't know who caused the problem. They're sure that Griggs County didn't cause the problem, but Griggs County's got to be responsible for it. And it happens over and over and over again. And no one will help out Griggs County. When we push this, the state will be on their side. When we push it harder, the federal regulations will be on their side. And so you're beating your head against the wall. We like to bring it up. We like to show that this system is not correct, but we've never been successful in reversing it. Correct, Jamie?
John, can you explain that 80-20, how that works, the funding, how that ties in with this? You know,
It was this one 80/20. Anyway, there,
Yeah.
on a lot of these projects, the federal, state, and local entities have a percentage, and this one is 80/20. And so the claim is against the overall project, so we would end up paying 20% of whatever the claim is. The dollar amount, of course, amounts to something, because as of yet, I don't think Griggs County has an oil well or a gold mine, so any money that we have comes out of the citizens' pocket. So whether it's $1 or $1 million, it's still not our money to be spending willy-nilly. But the state doesn't care, so they pressure us and say, well, unless you settle this, we're not gonna kick in the 80%. Is that what you're looking at?
that's
Yeah.
exactly what I'm
Okay.
looking at.
So,
well, the
we have no,
80% is money that's
Yeah.
given to us from
Yeah.
federal.
So it's basically pay the 20% or we get stuck with the whole thing type of deal? Is that what
Well,
you're saying?
it's never come to that point,
No,
but
no.
But that's what the state is saying, if I'm understanding that correctly.
Not exactly.
not exactly. They'll never say it flat out, because then they sound like the mafia, But they'll imply that and they'll drag it out until the point where they'll hold up funding and, yeah. I've come to the assumption after the years I've been doing this that, again, bring it up, show what's wrong, but we've never changed it. And this isn't the only time, this has been many, many times, different scenarios of this have happened.
So the state holds our 80% in Bismarck
Yeah.
until we can afford to do a project. So then we have to have the 20% match, or 19.7% match here from Griggs County.
Yeah.
So that's how that works. It's a lot to take in with just one meeting, but
It's been going on for what, 2 months? At least?
But if you were to look at the 10,000 that they want more, versus the 20%, I mean, are we looking at just like a,
We're looking at our portion would be 2,000 of, but again, it's, I know we're gonna pay it,
yes?
but
principle,
it's the
yeah,
principle of
but,
the
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Because this time it might be 2,000, next time it might be 200,000.
Right.
The state never wants to, no matter what we've had situations where we were supposed to have a project done and they didn't finish it, or they didn't start it. There was other seal coat projects and we've pursued liquidated damages. And the state said, well, no one's ever gone after liquidated damages before, why would we do that? Well, it's in the contract, you should enforce the contract.
Yeah.
But the state kind of always seems to bend over for the contractors instead of for the citizens.
That's because we don't have a Peacock Alley to wine and dine those state officials.
They do make good food, John.
I've been there numerous times where I paid my own bill. That's not what it was set up for. So,
Oh.
anyway, that's where we're at,
anyway,
Wayne.
that's where we're at, yeah.
Okay.
And welcome to the commission.
Thank you.
Look forward to working with you guys, and if you want to stop them down there, we'll have to let Paul explain the prairie dog funding.
Before you leave that change order, did you wanna have them, a motion on that, or
Yeah, should we?
No, there's no motion yet
We don't need to.
because
Okay.
contractor hasn't signed it, or? do we wait for them?
nobody signed it
No.
yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
At this time, I'd like to take a 5-minute break, if I could have a motion to that.
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Motion by Tranby,
I'll second it.
second by Averill. We'll call the meeting back to order. Well, we can officially call you Sheriff Hook now, correct?
Yes,
All right, you're up.
I'll do the thing. I'll be pretty quick.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
I think it was Tuesday night I was working and our fire alarm system failed once more. So I went down and dealt with that and I got a hold of Nova Fire. They're our new fire inspection company. The one we had had kind of just fallen to the wayside. They weren't able to meet their promises with inspections and that. They hadn't really done it about a year. I got a hold of Nova Fire. We got this system. The problem was when they built this, they had a compressor they put in and it was strapped to the fire pipe. And there's no tank, so it was just an on-demand constant. The thing just ran, start, and the pressure switch started to fail on it. And this is the second one they put in. This is Nova's first round with this, so we determined the compressor was bad, and there's no point in going that direction again. So I called Chairman Wakefield at the time. He was not chairman. Explained the situation because we had to make a decision that morning. So we got one ordered and they come yesterday and put that in. So the fire suppression system at courthouse, there's two systems. There's a wet system. So you see like here on this floor, these heads, there's water standing behind those.
Okay.
Then there's a dry system in the attic.
Oh.
And there's no water in that. Obviously it would freeze. So this compressor keeps that all at bay. That pipe is pressurized. Well, when this thing fails, if it gets to a certain point, then that floods. And if something fails in the alarm system, or we won't know what happens, and then that freezes, and then sometime down the road that thaws, and then we're wondering why our roof's leaking. So they got that fixed. We had a couple leaks in the building, and after speaking with Nova about this, they said they feel very confident it more likely is a severe condensation matter. That's very popular with those dry systems. The pipes are cold, humidity from the outside comes in. So We are due for a 5-year inspection in the building, it's never been done. When they do that, they will physically go up in the attic and inspect that system. It's just, it's by code, we have to have a 5-year inspection on that. And then when they do that, they disassemble some of the pipe joints and check the interior of the pipe for corrosion. And so that's gonna be coming down the road. I think it'd be very wise of us to get that done, because if that failed, the cost would be overwhelming. And there's an option to not fix that air system, but then that attic system would be completely cut off. And they by law have to report that to our insurance carrier. And if it-
insurance would be.
You'd be dropped, or your premiums would outpace what it costs to fix it by tenfold, so. So that system is back online. I hope we got no problems going forward here, because when I started, that system had failed, and the pipe actually had water in it. So we drained that when I started.
So it's good that they caught it, so hopefully everything.
Yeah, we caught it for winter comes, so that's it. As far as any sheriff's office updates, our licenses are completed, just waiting to get them in the mail, and official there, so we've been very busy. So moving forward, so.
Yeah.
Any question on the fire thing? It's pretty straightforward. It was like a do or die deal, so.
How much was it?
It's gonna be around 5,000 for the Nova, and then Cody Hoy Command did a little bit of conduit and some wiring, because the old pipe, the old compressor was up about 10 feet in the air on pipe.
Yeah.
Now we have a floor mount with a tank, so now when they service the system, they can turn the compressor off, but they've got a volume of air to keep the water where it's supposed to be, so they can actually work on it, so.
Yeah. And we'll deal with that. It'll come out of courthouse maintenance or one of those.
Yeah, we haven't got official invoices yet. This just happened yesterday morning.
You just,
Everybody kind of dropped, everything came,
Yeah.
they knew the seriousness of it, so.
Yeah, no.
Okay,
very good.
good, thanks.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Bob.
All right. Now, the one that we've been putting off for the last 3 months, employee salary increase.
I'll read that.
What's that?
Prairie dog,
Oh,
Paul wants to give a report on the prairie dog.
Paul wants to report on the prairie dog. Okay, let's back up to road department then.
Thank you.
Looks like the employees aren't getting a salary increase this year.
I'll get out of the way if that's.
They'll throw you out of the way.
Great. So I just handed out a sheet. It kind of got a little busier as the year went on and stuff started filling up. But the center thing basically has the funding of what's filled up to date, and we've only got the 2 red boxed items there, kind of show you what's going on with the funds. Last month they collected $84 million in oil extraction tax, and we need $52 million to fill the last county bucket. So then that would likely fill this month then, and the distribution's supposed to happen the month after it fills, so that should be in January. Griggs County share of that should be $923,461.50, and the previous estimate was $819,200, so about $104,000 higher, and that was based on an updated study from the Great Plains Transportation Institute and NDSU. I think the state funds that to do estimates of what the counties need for highway funds. Yeah, that number changed with the update that was completed just this fall here. So these numbers should be good now, because that update just came out a few days ago. And that is not likely to change between now and the end of the year. And I did have one other project update. We're working on the design for the Decker Bridge up on County 6,
Why
right?
don't you fill these guys in for us?
Okay, so that was it's a through truss bridge up on County 6. It's a off system. It's not on the federal aid system, but it did receive 100% federal grant through the state to replace it. The only thing that you will have a cost on is that they won't pay for the right acquisition to buy the land to build the bridge on. It's probably going to be wider inslopes and stuff like that aren't currently there. We haven't researched the exact right of way it's supposed to be there, but it's on a township road, so you normally only have this 33 feet each way from center line as a statutory right of way. So it's probably going to need to have some acquired. So that was the update I had on that, is the state gave us that guidance that they weren't paying for that, out of their 100% bridge funds. And then we're working on, I guess, our scope and fee with the state for the design costs and survey and all that. And then that'll get put into an agreement. I'll copy Wayne on that, as we put it together, so he has an idea what's coming up as far as our hours estimate. Same with any other federal aid program projects, we run through the district and the state district, and then highway superintendent reviews them as well, just to make sure that we're not putting in more hours than what we would really need to get it done.
This is at County Road 6 north here. It's been closed for how long? Wayne? Year and a half?
No longer than that.
About a year, I think.
Yeah, they closed here.
Because the bridge is just so bad, or what? Collapsing pretty much, or what?
Yeah.
The abutments are pushing in, and so it has these bars that are supposed to be in tension, that are supposed to, that the weight on the bridge holds them tight. They're actually pushed together because the banks are sloughing in, and they're, they look like spaghetti. It's not a good situation. I walked across it and I wasn't worried, but I don't know that I
Maybe
drove.
somebody driving a 4,000-pound vehicle is maybe a little worried if they drive across that type of deal.
Well, yeah, a loaded truck could be
Or even a loaded truck, I mean, depending on what you drive across there.
Yeah, and we had been keeping an eye on that one for several years before it was closed finally.
It was down to what, 6 ton, I think, Dan? 5 or 6
Yeah.
ton you put down to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So that won't get out for bids until early 24 probably.
The plan to try to get, not this summer, the summer after.
Yes.
Correct. Try to get this built.
And usually with bridges over the Cheyenne, they want to get started in the wintertime. So it could, if we got it ready for a fall bid in 23, that they could actually be working probably by, like in January of 24, and have it be ready for use that year.
We're looking at a concrete one, is that correct? We're not sure yet.
That's more than likely. With that kind of a span, you're probably not going to find a cheaper option. You can, steel beams with a concrete deck is another option that we were looking at, but those have to be quite a bit taller for the same strength. So then you have to do quite a bit more approach work to get up to it.
Yeah.
So we'll look at that in more detail as we get further into design, but it'll be based a little bit on availability too.
Yeah.
As far as with the market the way that it's gonna. But I don't think the beams are as far back as the box culverts are. Those are 2 years out about now.
Oh,
We've been here now. For anything that isn't bid already.
yeah.
Suppose they get all bidded up and then get it, they put everything on hold till material comes in.
It's just the capacity of the plants. There's only like 2
Oh.
places that ship here.
Okay.
One's down by Bismarck, and one's over in Minnesota, Hancock, and I think Rinker is the place in Bismarck now.
Okay.
So, yeah, those things are in short supply. And there was a lot of bridge funds that came out at the same time, and there's another round of those out now. So everybody's buying them. Everybody would rather have a box culvert than a bridge if they can get by with it, because you don't have any guardrails. So it's easier to maintain.
Paul, the portion that you're talking about where we're gonna probably have to get some land,
Yep.
is that gonna be similar to the Odegaard Bridge and process that went?
The
Doll Bridge.
The Doll one,
Bridge.
the Doll box culvert, yeah,
Yeah.
you'd have to follow the same rules.
Okay.
But it looks like there's only one landowner. The same guy has it signed on both sides. And I did look up the deed. I think it was Thomas Silvernagle, is that right?
Okay, probably.
Up there? So if anybody's got a connection to him, let us know,
Yeah,
if that helps.
I know who he is.
Oh, okay, sounds good. Sounds good, well, when we get further into it, we'll reach out. Anybody have any other questions for, I guess, what we provide for the county? Okay, sounds good, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now we're on the employee salary increase. You just were handed a resolution kind of explaining what happened. There's a typo in there. Nelson County's not involved with
I
this.
saw that.
Annie's changing it for me right now, so we'll get a good one for John to sign.
Okay.
So this has been ongoing, very out of the ordinary for the way that the county conducts business. We don't allocate money in between budget cycles. We did in this instance. I think we learned our lesson that we probably shouldn't do that. This is a reflection of making things equitable for all employees rather than just treating 2 or 3 employees as if they were more important to the county than everybody. This was the solution that was reached, and Jamie's researched it. The county employees are on board with it. The previous commissioners, I believe, were on board with it, as am I. And I think we need to make things right here, get this signed off and move on. Learn a lesson from the fact that budget decisions are made at budget time. They're not made on a split-second decision during a county commission meeting because we don't have the ability to spend that money anyway. This was a mess. And I think we should fix this and get it behind us.
I'll make a motion to accept this resolution.
We have a motion from Stephanie to accept the employee salary increase resolution. Do I have a second?
I'll second it, John.
Second by Tranby. Do we have any further discussion on this? Any questions or any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring any discussion, we will vote. Mr. Averill,
Yes.
Tranby,
Yes.
Yes.
Zorn votes yes. Edlund,
Yes.
yes. Wakefield votes yes. Resolution and motion passed. Here's a housekeeping item, the bank's signature change. If you could explain that, Samantha.
Yep, so we do have some new employees. So I do need a motion to have myself, Madison Eli, Chelsea McMillan, and Aaron Hook. I'll put on the bank signature to sign off on the checks.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Tranby to update this bank signature cards. Could I have a second on that?
I'll second it.
Second by Averill. Any further discussion on this issue?
This is really just basically we're taking, just swapping from one employee to another because we got different employees in place. Basically, that's what it's all about, right?
Right, and this doesn't give them the ability to do a transaction without it going in front of this whole board anyway. There's multiple safeguards. This is just one. Once we've approved it, then it allows for that. We have a second, and any more discussion? With no more discussion, this, I would imagine, can be voted on without a voice vote, Jamie? Yeah. All in favor of the bank signature card changes?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Oh, now to the fun part of the meeting, a beer and liquor license request.
So you guys approve beer and liquor license for anybody in the county, not within city limits. So we don't do anything for the Oasis or the Fishbowl or anything like that, but Sutton we do. So usually it's Sutton is the only one we usually get. Sometimes if somebody takes over Red Willow, we'll get a Red Willow beer and liquor license, but for the most part it's just a Sutton pub. And they do every 6 months. So they don't do a year. So.
And it's prorated for 6 months,
Yeah.
the dollar figure.
Yep.
Yeah. So, we can do this together. I would need a motion putting forward both the beer and liquor license for the Sutton Pub.
I'll make the motion, John.
Motion by Tranby, a second to that, please.
I'll second that.
Second by Zorn. Any discussion on the subject? And no, they don't give samples. Any discussion?
I'm assuming that it's all just because they changed another new manager, or is this just to renew what they got, or what?
It's just to renew every 6 months, they'll do
Okay.
it. Yep.
I see.
Yep.
Okay.
And then, so what if somebody else takes over, they just apply for it, and then we just approve it whether or not type of deal, or how does that work?
We're really just a rubber stamp because
Okay.
we can't actually give the liquor license until the state has a final approval.
Okay.
So they need ours before the state will approve
I
theirs.
see now,
Yep.
okay.
So we've never been in a position where we approve or we never deny. We always approve because the state has always given us the go-ahead. And unless you can add something to that, Bob?
That's all works.
Okay.
In the city council does the same thing in the cities, it's just a rubber stamp, but there's a process they go through to apply for liquor license, and there's only so many of you, the county commission can't just create a liquor license and give somebody, it doesn't exist.
They go through background check process.
Yeah, exactly, check
And
process.
fingerprints, and the state ultimately has a say as far as if someone's got a criminal record or.
They just want our approval type of deal, make sure we're okay with it.
We give the liquor license so that we get a fee for it.
Okay.
And then by doing that, in my understanding, by them applying for the liquor license and the beer license, there are stipulations. One involves letting the sheriff be on premises and things like that.
Right. It's
Yeah.
kind of, what John's absolutely right. This board has to activate it and say yes.
Yeah.
So they can go to the next step to the state, and the states are the one that's gonna give it or not give it.
Right.
If I had an issue, it would come back to me, and then we would deal with the state on it.
Yeah. It's a formality. If we were having a lot of problems with one particular establishment, the sheriff would come to us and recommend that we take some sort of action, but the state ultimately would be the one to take the action, I believe. Any more questions on this subject? All in favor of granting the beer and liquor license signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. License is granted.
Who seconded that motion?
Tranby made the initial motion, and I think Adriel seconded it, I believe.
No, I think it was Zorn that seconded it.
Okay. Another housekeeping matter here, Nelson Griggs District Health Unit Board Member appointment, and it looks like we have a candidate, correct?
Mm-hmm. And she's said that she would too, so.
Okay. How do you pronounce her name?
Cassandra Shock, is it Shock?
Is it Shock?
I think it's Shock,
Okay.
I think. But she's not, it's Becky M is the person to be
Yeah.
appointed.
Yep.
And the M is Muncie, you said?
I want to say it's Muncie,
Muncie?
Okay.
Becky Muncie.
Muncie, okay.
So we have a candidate to be appointed to the Nelson Griggs Health District Unit Board.
I don't know that for a fact though,
Yeah.
but I'm pretty
Sure.
sure that it's Becky.
I'll make
Muncie.
a motion to approve.
Motion by Edlin to approve Becky M. to the board. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Tranby. All in favor? Why aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved. Okay, you've got the meeting schedule, special meeting and regular meeting schedule in front of you, I believe.
So there is a special, I would like to discuss having a special meeting. We usually do have a special meeting at the end of December to pay the remainder of bills for the year. I'd like to have that, if possible, if you would like to have a afternoon meeting, the 28th would be the best, and if you would like to have a morning meeting, the 29th would be the best.
Okay, so just to clarify here, because of the need for the public to know when and where we're gonna have our meetings, we have to set the schedule prior. And so these are the dates that are set. If we wanna have a meeting in between times, then we have a special meeting, we have to post it.
And we won't have, there was, somebody to clarify, we won't have another commission meeting until the special meeting, or we have a commission meeting before that.
You'll have this meeting before that, the
21st.
22nd.
22nd we'll have one, and then this special one after that.
Yep, yep,
Yeah, we'll have to call a special meeting.
yep. It's just
But
so
we
that
could-
I
we
can
could
have.
schedule
No,
the
I know.
special meeting right now.
Yep, yep.
And just for further clarification, special meetings are only able to have one agenda item. They're specifically
Well, they
purposed.
can have as many as we need, but they have to be, when they're noticed, we cannot change the agenda.
Notice, right, notice individually, correct, yep.
So this meeting, I'm just asking for to pay the remainder of bills that come in for the end of the year to make sure that they get into this year's budget. So, and then that schedule that you have in front of you, that is continuing the every 2 week, or the 2 meetings a month on Thursdays at 2:30. And it's usually the first and the third Tuesday or Thursday. If it gets to be like the first, I do push you off another week because we're busy closing books and stuff. So.
Let's do this in two separate
Yep,
votes.
yep,
So
absolutely.
the first motion we need is for the special meeting December 22nd,
28th.
The 28th or the 29th.
28th or 29th, at what time?
Whatever. If you do the 28th, I would like it
In the morning?
in the afternoon,
Afternoon.
and the 29th right away in the morning,
29th is what, a Thursday or Friday?
Thursday. So Wednesday or
So
Thursday.
let's have a motion for the special meeting, and then we'll discuss it. And, yeah, so do I have a motion to discuss the special
I'll
meeting?
make the
Motion by
motion.
Tranby. I'll need a second.
I'll second it.
Second by Zorn. Any discussion on the special meeting and times and dates?
So this would be a Wednesday morning or a Thursday afternoon?
The meeting will take 10 minutes.
If that.
Yeah.
It's basically just see what they are, prove them.
And I send them out
Okay.
right before your meeting too. If you guys do the 28th, I won't send it out until the 28th that morning. And then the 29th, if you have it on the 29th, I'll send it out the 28th.
For me, it works best in the morning. I don't know about you guys, but to me that works best because then I could just shoot wherever else from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Morning.
29th?
Morning would be
No.
night, yeah.
The morning one.
Yeah.
29th, okay.
Yeah.
What time in the morning?
6? I'm just kidding.
Whatever works. I mean, I'm used to being up on the road and at work at 8. I don't know what you guys again,
That's fine.
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock?
That sounds good to me.
Okay.
As a product of the discussion, we've determined that an 8 o'clock meeting on the 29th to close out, 29th?
Mm-hmm.
To close out the bills is the majority opinion of the commission. Any more discussion on that item? Barring no discussion, we'll vote for the meeting on the 29th at 8 a.m. This chambers. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. So the second meeting agenda item is the scheduling the meetings for 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have a motion?
There
to
is one.
Open discussion on this.
Oh. Open it.
Avriel motioned for the discussion on the regular meetings 2023. Do I have a second?
I'll second that one.
Second by Tranby. What are your wishes?
Well, you know, I know a lot of people are busy. If we could have them a little later, that'd be best, but at the same time, you know, it also works for how everybody else's schedule is. I think 5, 6, maybe 7 o'clock at night, like a lot of other people have meetings, to me would be best, but again, that's how everyone else wants to do it too. So,
I'm flexible because I'm a self-employed, you know, so I can do anything I want to do.
Yeah, well, we have to have it during, we don't have to, but during courthouse hours is certainly advisable, and it can't be at the end of courthouse hours because there's things that have to be done after the meeting.
okay.
So we've tried a few different schedules. This schedule seems to, we changed the schedule when the last two commissioners came on board. It was at 3 o'clock prior on Fridays.
Yeah, correct.
Prior to this.
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock,
Yeah.
yeah. And then we changed it to 2:30. The other thing that is, once the public gets used to having the meetings at a certain time, I think it's, unless there's something drastic that needs to be changed for, I think we should leave it where it's at. Jamie? What do you think? What fits your schedule?
Anything? I think Nelson County, we're doing Tuesday morning meetings, so anytime around
Okay.
that, I guess.
Okay.
You know, if it being with, you know, on a Thursday or a Friday, I'll make anything work, but a Monday morning works best for me, because, you know, I leave and I'm gone all week.
That's true.
So that would be best, but
Monday morning makes it tough for the auditor and everybody else getting prepared for this meeting. It takes 2-3 days to get prepared for the meeting. And we would miss out on things over the weekend if that's the case.
So is there any way maybe we could do it on a Friday then? Would that make it easier for you to come back for something like that?
Well, you can attend by, you know. you
yeah,
can attend by phone
yep,
also.
I sure can.
Yeah.
You know, actually, a Friday, you know, 2:30 would probably be better. You know, because that way when I come home, I'll just come home a little early. That would work.
Staff?
Yeah, I'm good with whatever.
Just some,
Great.
I should be able to make a lot of them, but some I will have to do over the phone just because of the fact of it is I'll be on a no heat call or somebody's furnace or somebody will be without power, so I'll have to do it over the phone on that. So my only issue. Otherwise, I'm pretty flexible on that end too. So
I can always zoom in whenever,
so
you know, if I can. Make it in.
I say Friday at 2:30 or
For me, I guess.
does that work for you guys? Friday, you guys at Friday at 2:30? Scott, John?
It's up to Samantha because she's the one that is saddled with a lot of the work here. We're secondary to what.
Okay.
I will make anything work for you guys, whatever I need.
What is it easier Thursday or is it easier Friday? I know the answer.
I like the
Easier for your
Thursdays.
Thursday.
Yeah.
I like the Thursdays. You know, Fridays do get to be, if the meeting runs a little longer, well then, you know, if I had weekend plans or leaving for the weekend or doing anything like that. I know that that's kind of a personal thing, but I'll make anything work that you guys need, but Thursdays kind of.
I still love the idea of Monday morning if Sam thinks she can swing it.
You're fading out there. I can't hear you very good.
You know,
The Fridays
8
make,
a.m. Monday morning would be fabulous, so then I could just go work right after.
I think the Friday afternoons, they kind of made things difficult.
Yeah,
for
they did.
everybody if they plan
Okay.
to try to be here or else plan something if they're taking off for the weekend.
I'll make it work. Don't worry about it.
You want to put that in the form of a motion?
Make a motion to make anything work? Is that what you
No, at the time.
So again, like John said, what do you think, Sam?
I will make whatever work.
I'll just motion to leave it as it is.
We have a motion by Mr. Zorn to leave the schedule as it is, 2:30 on Thursdays with the prescribed dates for 2023. Is there a second to that?
I'll second it.
Second by Tranby. Any more discussion on it? Any discussion? Barring discussion, vote in the affirmative with aye if you approve the motion.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Motion approved, 2:30 Thursdays with the prescribed dates, 2023. Thank you, guys. Old courthouse, new courthouse. This is just an update on things that might need to be done or have been done since the last meeting.
I've got nothing.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Just to fill you guys, see you guys.
Thank you.
Just to fill you guys in, there's been an ongoing project to tear down the old courthouse. We asked the public what they wanted to do with that, I don't know how many years ago. They voted that they'd like it torn down. We've been involved now trying to get permission to do that. There's been agreements entered into when this building was built, most notably the $1 million grant, and it came with stipulations that we had to keep the old courthouse, and we couldn't let it fall down by neglect, and we had to maintain it, and if we didn't, the $1 million that was supposedly free money would have to be repaid. And they left that decision to the state and local historical society, and we've gotten the local historical society to put the decision solely in the hands of the state historical society, and there's where it sits. They give us projects to do, we do the projects, and we still get no answer. And this has been ongoing for 10 years.
I actually, I have some meetings on Bismarck next week. Maybe I'll go down the night before and go and visit with them. Just sit down with them to see what we can come to some sort of compromise.
It presents a dilemma, of course, because it's not going to be a cheap deal to tear it down. And where are we going to come up with the funding to do that? So it's a catch-22. You're pushed up against a wall if you don't do it, if you're pushed up against a wall if you do.
Sure, it's a little bit more spendy too, because I'm sure there's asbestos and everything in there, right?
Yeah.
Well, and of course there is. It was built in 1880 something, and
There's actually very little asbestos in there, it's built too soon.
too soon.
Too old, too
Yeah,
old.
it's just
The only
the
asbestos
boiler is the only place that's got any.
There's a pipe wrapping in some of the floor tile, as long as it's not pulverized, it's not toxic, but if you pulverize it,
Yeah.
It's toxic.
yeah, and that's like floor tiles that you see in buildings, but they used to use asbestos in those. So,
With the rules of keeping it up, what is that? Are we heating it, or what are we
No.
doing?
The key sentence in there says they don't allow demolition by neglect. So it's pretty well open to to what your interpretation of that is. Ours is that you can't just let it start falling down, not maintaining it. And of course, if you don't maintain it, it's gonna start falling down. So at some point, it will need maintenance, but it doesn't have to be inhabitable. But again, demolition by neglect, however you take that, is the standards we have to maintain it to.
Sure, they mean just don't let it go and fall over on its own type of deal.
There's kind of a fine line there, 'cause if you don't heat it and the ceiling starts to fall and the roof starts too, I mean, eventually
Was it
it's-
neglect for not heating it till?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so that's
kind of a catch.
it came down from the federal government that was the definition, which leaves you the impression that they can pretty much make up any, you're guilty no matter what happens.
The water has been turned off and the heat has been turned
Yeah.
off, so everything is off in there. no, nothing, so.
Samantha takes her lunch breaks over there in
Oh,
the
yeah.
summertime.
I store stuff over there because I don't have enough space.
Yeah. So it has a purpose.
Has it filled with water or anything in the basement down there?
Oh, no, it's gravel underneath that thing. I mean, if the roof leaks, I suppose you get some water in there, but it drains out, it's,
It's near water basin, really. It was built right
yeah.
back in the day.
The walls are pretty black though, now since nobody's been over there and nothing, yeah, it's pretty black.
Hmm.
The rafter system would be worth a fortune if somebody would take it apart.
Really?
Yeah.
Like 40-foot V with not even a knot in them.
Yeah.
They're like
Hand
3 inches
fuses
thick
probably
and
too,
they're
huh?
16 inches
And
tall.
all the millwork, the doors are
Yeah,
10-foot
40
solid
feet.
oak doors. It's, when it eventually does, if it eventually gets raised, it will have to be put out on bids because the interior furnishings in there are irreplaceable. I mean, you couldn't order that stuff today.
That's one of the requirements, is that we place it on bids for
Yeah.
historic salvage.
No, isn't there done, isn't one of the colonies kind of collect those old brick and stuff too?
Yeah, we haven't pursued any of that because we don't have permission to do it.
Right.
So, when Mark came on board 5 years ago, that was his project and he was gonna get it done. I told him it'll be there long after you're gone. And as you notice, he's not sitting here. And it still is. So, and I'm quite sure it's the same with me and all the rest of us. It's gonna be there long after we're gone. Which, in a lot of people's mind, isn't a bad thing. It was about a 50-50 vote to tear it down or leave it.
When was that vote, John?
2020, I think.
Maybe before that.
Oh.
I don't.
Could have been 18.
Sam looking?
I can,
I'd say 18. It was just an advisory vote. It wasn't binding. Okay, any more new courthouse business? Anything for future meetings or on to future business?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Hey, that's my.
We
was
have
my
a
line.
motion from Edlin to adjourn. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Tranby. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Okay.
Meeting adjourned at 4:08. Next meeting in these chambers, December 22nd at 2:30. We'll call the meeting back to order.